Thanks, President. My question is to the Attorney-General. The government's family violence strategy and $3.5 billion worth of spending in the area has some shortfalls in the opinion of our party. Recent Crime Statistics Agency and case studies tell us this. In terms of perpetrators, there are a range of offences that can be used to prosecute offenders' behaviour when it comes to family violence. Section 23 and 24 of the Summary Offences Act are often used, however, both attract a maximum penalty of only 3 and 6 months imprisonment respectively. Disgracefully, just 30% of the guilty verdicts for Section 23 receive imprisonment, and where they do, half get less than 6 months. 30% of Section 23s are dismissed, 20% result in a fine, and 20% get a CCO. Section 24 is often used for family violence, though, where the violence was aggravated, as it was in the presence of a female or a child under 14. This offence disregards the impact of family violence on adolescent boys. For Section 24 offences, 70% of offenders get less than 6 months imprisonment. Attorney, does the current sentencing regime deal with family violence perpetrators adequately, especially in situations where that violence is in the presence of a child?
Thank you. Leader of the Government, Attorney-General.
Thank you, President. I thank Mr Grimbley for his question in relation to family violence. And of course, no child should be subjected to or witness family violence. It's abhorrent, and this government, as you have indicated, has taken a very serious stance against family violence, a lot of investment, support for our support agencies and indeed our justice system. We of course would also always consider further ways to protect vulnerable children, and particularly in the family violence space. Currently, there are particular provisions that protect children. If a family violence intervention order is in place, for example, behaviour that exposes a child to family violence is a contravention of that order and a criminal offence under the Family Violence Protection Act, punishable by a maximum of 2 years. Contravention of a family violence intervention order by intentionally or knowingly causing fear or apprehension in a protected child also constitutes an offence punishable by a maximum of 5 years. Our sentencing courts do treat family violence seriously and have consistently held that family violence aggravates offending. I don't want to reflect on the decisions of the court, but I would say that, of course, 100% they take into account those that are in the presence of offending behaviour in the consideration of the seriousness of the offence, the sentence that it should attract. As we know, this is a crime that takes up a lot of police and court time, and I thank them for their ongoing efforts to ensure that we are responding to this scourge on our society appropriately.
Mr Grimbley on the supplementary.
Thanks, President. Thank you, Attorney. The question was more about offences that sit outside the breaches of intervention orders, was where I was trying to get at. But CSA data that came out earlier this year looked at the effects of family violence on children, saying, and I quote, where intimate partner violence involved children, it was more likely to involve assault and repeat police-attended incidents spanning over a longer period of time and involve family violence protection orders, unquote. The same data showed that around 77% of children witnessing family violence went on to have a negative interaction with the justice system within 5 years. Other evidence suggests many kids experiencing family violence go on to become perpetrators themselves. It seems to me that this is extremely important that family violence in the presence of a child or children is taken with the utmost seriousness. In the opinion of our party, the current sentencing regime clearly does not allow for adequate sentencing in these situations. My supplementary, therefore, is Attorney, would the government commit to looking at a new offence for family violence in the presence of a child with a maximum penalty of at least 2 years imprisonment and a requirement to attend a Caring Dads or other similar rehabilitative program?
Thank you, President. Mr Grimbley, you smash me with all these stats and clauses, but your intentions are good. Of course, this is a government that takes family violence intervention, family violence action, anything that will help protect particularly women and children very, very seriously. We have a record of legislative reform, of investment, and our efforts certainly have not stopped until this offence stops.
Mrs MacArthur.
Thank you, President. My question is for the Minister for Small Business and concerns the blow inflicted on businesses in Ballarat and the Minister's own electorate, no less, blindsided by the government's sudden